In the heart of a sleepy town, nestled among ancient oaks and weathered tombstones, stood a quaint Victorian house. Its new owners, the Johnsons, had just finished extensive renovations, eager to start their life in this charming abode. As night fell on their first evening, a chill wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it an unsettling secret. Sarah Johnson, a young mother of two, tucked her children into bed and descended the creaking stairs to the living room. The house settled around her, its old bones groaning in the darkness. She sank into her favorite armchair, relishing the quiet after a long day of unpacking. Just as she began to drift off, a faint sound caught her attention. At first, she dismissed it as the house settling or perhaps a mouse scurrying in the walls. But as the minutes ticked by, the sound grew more distinct. It was a scratching coming from beneath the floorboards. Sarah's heart began to race. She held her breath, straining to hear. The scratching continued, steady and persistent. It seemed to move, tracing a path from one end of the room to the other. She stood up, her bare feet cold against the wooden floor, and followed the sound. As she reached the center of the room, the scratching stopped abruptly. Sarah froze, her eyes wide in the darkness. For a moment, all was silent. Then a soft thump echoed from below, as if something had shifted beneath her feet. With trembling hands, Sarah reached for her phone and dialed her husband, who was away on a business trip. As the phone rang, she heard a whisper, so faint she almost missed it. "Help me," it seemed to say, muffled by layers of wood and earth. The next morning, Sarah confided in her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Thompson. The old woman's face paled as she listened to Sarah's account. With a trembling voice, she revealed a chilling tale that had been passed down through generations. Long ago, before the house was built, the land had been part of an old cemetery. During the town's expansion, most of the graves were relocated, but rumors persisted that one had been overlooked. Grave of a young woman buried alive by mistake, but said to lie beneath the very spot where the Johnsons' house now stood. As days turned into weeks, the nightly scratching continued. Sarah and her family learned to live with the eerie sounds, convincing themselves it was just the house settling, or their imagination running wild. But deep down, they couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was trying to reach out from beyond. One stormy night, as lightning illuminated the sky and thunder shook the windows, the scratching intensified. It was no longer just beneath the floorboards. It seemed to echo through the walls, growing louder and more frantic with each passing moment. Sarah huddled with her children in the master bedroom, their eyes wide with fear. The storm raged outside, but it was nothing compared to the tempest within their home. Suddenly, a deafening crack split the air, and the floor in the living room buckled and splintered. As the family huddled together, paralyzed with fear, a pale, ghostly hand emerged from the jagged opening in the floor. It was followed by an arm, then a shoulder, and finally, translucent form of a young woman in a tattered Victorian dress rose from the depths. The spectral figure turned her hollow eyes towards Sarah and her children. In a voice that sounded like rustling leaves, she whispered, "Thank you for hearing me. I can finally rest." With those words, she faded away, leaving behind only a cold breeze and the lingering scent of earth and decay. The Johnsons never spoke publicly about what happened that night. They repaired the floor and continued to live in the house, but they never forgot the haunting presence that had dwelled beneath their feet. On quiet nights, when the wind whispers through the trees, some say they can still hear a faint scratching, a reminder of the restless soul that once sought escape from her forgotten grave. As years passed, the story of the Johnsons' haunted house became local legend. Whispered at sleepovers and around campfires, it served as a chilling reminder that sometimes past refuses to stay. Buried, and in the quiet town beneath the ancient oaks and weathered tombstones, the line between the world of the living